there's a new term that I like called through the middle services, and that's what we were talking about the idea that you know, the MSOs are sitting back and looking at all this stuff and saying, well, we can't fight it, might as well embrace it. So they're going to find a way to be able to deliver their own services directly through an internet connection to an internet connected TV. So watch what Time Warner and Sony are doing, Comcast and Samsung are doing. Lean back becomes the new norm. I think it doesn't do us any good at all to make any further conversation about a lean forward or a lean back experience. I would argue that it's all going to be a lean back experience. And what I mean by that is that I need to be as comfortable sitting back looking at video on my iPhone as I am sitting back and watching a TV set 10 feet away from me. And that much of what's going to happen, again, the technology changes that will shift into the background are going to be the ways to optimize content for these different devices. Google has, and one of my reading picks on this one is Google specs about optimizing your web content to show on Google TV, and it's some of the best technically written technical documents that I've seen recently. Adaptive bitrate services will proliferate. What I mean by that is that this is this idea again that you have a file for a program, you upload it to a service provider, a company, and Brightcove is one, there are millions of others coming, and there are going to be more. And what they will do is that they will actually, they'll do the transcoding of that content to different bit rates for different devices to basically cover you whatever it is you're looking to do. Anybody will do anything for money, but what's happening in this space is that the money that it's costing and the ease that's being available to deliver these services right now is really getting very, very different than it was a year ago. There are a lot more options. Brightcove is actually, if you're familiar with them, they've actually sort of reinvented part of their business by doing this kind of thing, and they're actually offering some, for people who have relatively small collections of video, mostly geared towards the business community and for business purposes, for training and for business communication. They're offering packages that are actually really pretty affordable to do something that was very complex and not so affordable a while ago. So watch that space as well.
I think that's it on Fearless Predictions. So,
Go back to the
So, yeah.
well, actually, let's
do that.
do this.
We've hit our theoretical limit
Yep.
in time, but we started a little late, so if you guys want to keep going ahead.
And I think there's a break after this, right?
There is a half-hour break, so if you want to go 15 minutes longer, we started 15 minutes late. Hang around if you want. If you need to leave, great. Let me lob in the first question. So does Brightcove, so does Cove, I'm not pushing the PBS products, but
Yeah.
does Cove then, I want it on my widescreen TV at home also.
Yeah.
When's that going to happen? And that would be probably a theoretical answer for a lot of the questions that
Yeah.
Mike.
I can tell you that I can if you're talking particularly about something like Google TV, I can go to Google TV right now, and I can see product on Cove. I can call up Cove from any of the sources, and I can see product on there and see video. I'm not so sure how long that's going to last. I don't know this, and I have to say, I should have said it from the very beginning. Some of the opinions expressed here are not necessarily those of my employer.
The cone of silence.
Yeah, no, I think that there are some real business reasons why some of the producers and some of the rights holders of the content may be concerned about that content showing up. But again, you know, and one of the reasons that we got it is because we wanted to see what happened with the APT content through these as well. But I mean, it is possible to do that now.
So what about Cove and the bit rate? We talked last media conference about, hey, the bit rate's not high enough to really enjoy it on
Yeah.
big screen TV.
Yeah.
Go to the PBS interactive session
Yeah.
and ask them that question.
Okay.
Yeah, I can tell you that, you know, I mean, it's no secret that everybody wants to try to creep that up, but on the other hand, you don't want to orphan anybody in the process of doing it.
Right. Questions?
I have a question about, it's kind of relative to the golden file and the increasing rate of technology and bandwidth and such. Basically, you know, we could talk about what the golden file is now as far as, you know, having it show on television and on mobile devices, but how do you make an archive of that file so that 6 months from now, when it's infinitely large, you know, it just keeps on getting larger and larger?
Right.
I guess what I'm trying to figure out is how do you build an archive or a library so that you can keep on scaling up?
You know, if I'll not to beg off in this, but the quality group workshop on Thursday, there was at least supposed to be. I don't know whether Dave McCarn's actually going to be able to get here. If somebody will do the presentation, there's quite a bit of thought about that in terms of what the archive format should really be for, particularly for looking on the broadcast end of it. I think that. The place where I walked in and talking about this right now is really more on the delivery format for a file to a service. And I would assume that there would be another file format that would be a higher quality file format that would be there, that would be the archive format.
Pretty much everybody is looking at archiving either at very high resolution, or certainly you're archiving at very high resolution, right? But a lot of folks are then investing in a mezzanine format and picking one that's a 5 megabit or 10 megabit mezzanine format that then gets transcoded dozens or hundreds of times to other formats. It's actually not what we're currently doing at PBS. At PBS, we're actually going straight from high res to the delivery resolution. But most people's approach is to build a mezzanine file so that you can do a much quicker transcode to them. When you decide that now you need a new format for some particular purpose. And that's basically the approach.
The Apple ProRes HQ file format is getting a lot of attention these days as far as being sort of a good mezzanine format, or maybe even higher. I'd also mention too, just a shout out to the folks at Wendy Allen and the folks at the Media Operations Center at PBS, who do a lot of transcoding of the national content. They've got also a lot of really good information and really good ideas and really good experience about the transcoding that's required. But you really, the point that you get to is really the key one again. Is that, and you may have to look longer range in terms of what your plans are, the fact that you may have to review things periodically and try to make your decisions about what you do. For us, we also had to make a decision too that we had a certain amount of content that was available in Flash, and the question is, do we transcode all of that again, or do we encode all of that again, or do we take a point and go forward and then try to make backwardly compatible what we had. I mean, it's all the ongoing questions about what you've got for your workflow and what you have available for resources.
And I think it's a 5 to 7 year kind of problem, because I think 5 to 7 years from now we'll have so much computing power, we'll have so much storage, we'll have so much network capacity that it won't matter. Oh, you need to retranscode 1,000 files to a new format? Sure, click a few buttons and it happens. But in the meantime, it's going to be kind of painful.
But then we'll all be dealing with Ultra HD and anyway.
Yes, come to NAB and see the super high vision project we're doing with Japanese public television. Other questions?
Can you put your reading list back up?
Yeah. And I would say that this is sort of off the top of our heads. This is sort of like what hit both of us today. The top one there, Video News, again, is an unabashed plug for Will Richmond's blog and email. He sends us out just about every day, but he has a really good take about watching what's going on in the industry and having a. Don't always agree with him, but it always gives us something to talk about. Fierce IPTV is an interesting website, and I think if you put that with a .com at the end of it, I think you'll get it. It's an interesting look at what's happening in the IPTV world generally, but it has a lot of implication for broadcast as well.
And just interject here, remember we'll get this on the NITA website,
Right.
so you can download it afterwards.
Right.
Engadget and Gizmodo are two of the big online sites that cover every device that gets introduced in the mobile world or in the home world or whatever. Look at both of them and decide which one of them fits your personal style. They have sort of a different tone and a different approach to them. GigaOM is pretty geeky, but it's more industry oriented, and it's very good, very well written. But it's more for really the technology industry folks. The Silicon Alley Insider does a chart of the day. Their website's only okay, but they do a chart of the day that once a day they send you a chart with some interesting metrics or piece of data about the media and online businesses, and so go to their website and subscribe, because it's always interesting, or it's usually interesting. If you really want to geek out, look at xkcd.com. It's a 3 times a week comic written by an MIT physicist or ex-MIT physicist, and if you have a real geek sense of humor, it's fun.